Hello everybody, I am Hoarder Gamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. This is an earlier episode than usual, so I'm glad if you're watching live that you were able to make it. I know it might have been a little bit of a surprise. The plan is to go to back to the normal scheduled time next week, but yeah, a little bit earlier. Now if you're watching on demand, nothing I just said was important at all. But I do thank you for being here. Thank you. First up, we're going to start with video game news. Not that exciting a week, really. Unless, you want to dwell on terrible things. So, a certain game that I certainly didn't purchase, I certainly didn't buy, right here. What's that doing there? Damn it! Concord. So I played the beta, I liked it, and then I was on defense though, because I was worried right away how many people are playing this game. What is the base of people playing this game? And it turns out that I guess among PC and console, the game sold like 25,000 copies, which for a AAA game in development for about, I supposedly about 4 years. People have said 8 years, but it sounds like it was actually 4 years in actual development. That's not good. That is a near disaster, really. There are executives at Sony that will probably have to exercise their golden parachute clause. I mean, it's not good. It's not good. And it's made even worse by the fact that just 2 weeks after it came out or so, it's not going to be available. You heard that correctly. You cannot purchase it physically or digitally or play it as of September 6th, Friday. That is unheard of. That is I can't even... Babylon's Fall, I believe was the name of the game. That game was 9 or 10 months. And even that was extreme. And this takes it to the next level. After this... And some sad news from Rocksteady, how they laid off some Q&A and other employees at Rocksteady. I would not be surprised if they just called it quits and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I'm not trying to upset anybody. I know everyone wanted to play as Deathstroke, but this changes things. This also might make David Zaslav rethink the games as a service that he wanted to do at WB Games with just about every title. This is really wild. It's far-reaching because it's a AAA game. If this was an indie title with 25,000 players, I think that's actually pretty good, to be honest with you, at a few weeks. But this isn't an indie game. Now, there's a lot of things you could say about this, but I'm going to say right now, I don't think that woke or DEI is to blame, okay? And people that think that is the issue, well, a lot of those people pushing that agenda, that's the issue, they're grifters, okay? They're grifters, you're a mark. That's the sad truth of it, okay? Anyway, the issues I see, character designs. Not that they weren't sexy enough, not that they weren't, relatable, but they're just some designs that don't make sense. And one of the things that really stood out is I was able to see some of the original sketches for the game when the game was in pre-production. And one of the problems is that those sketches, whatever engine they're using here, those sketches, when they came to be a 3D model in the game, did not look good. They didn't translate well. They didn't. There's one thing where it's supposed to look like metallic piping or something on a yellowish outfit. It looks like large intestine. Like, there are these giant shoulder pads in a number of characters that just look off, and it's just not great visual design, something that Overwatch has like always had. So it was not going to beat Overwatch there. Now, the actual moment to moment gameplay and the idea of having variants and things like that and a job system that you unlock things in, that was cool. That was neat. Also, the idea that you get like bonuses, I believe, when you're using different characters, kind of forcing you out of your comfort zone and having to play like maybe 3 or 4 characters in up to a 7-match round or 7-round match. So, yeah, I think that was a big problem. Also, let's be honest, Sony needs to take some blame here too. Pretty piss poor marketing for this game. It honestly felt like it was just put out to fail. 2 or 3 months after announcing it and showing a trailer, and you're going to release your game, that's craziness. That's crazy. Like, I can't believe that actually happened, yet it did. Yeah. And then it was an insane situation, though, too. So when they announced the game, there was this cool, like, CG trailer, and it made it look like very Guardians of the Galaxy-like. And people were like, oh, this looks exciting. This looks like a neat story-based game, you know, single player. Let me add it. And then within minutes, they showed that it was a hero shooter, a la something like Overwatch, and just about everyone tuned out. If you don't believe me, you can look at the open beta and the small amount of people playing then. So that's why I was on the fence about getting it. Now, one of the only good things here is consumer-based, and that is that Sony is refunding every copy of the game purchased. So whether you got it digitally, whether you got it physically. So like mine has to be shipped back to Amazon, and I have, I think, like till the 23rd of September or something from what I read. Yeah, basically get a hold of your store, ship it back to Amazon, whatever you have to do, because you will not be able to play the game after September 6th. There's no reason for you to have it. Like, even the controllers. Jay Shockblast tried to order one of the controllers, I think it was yesterday or the day before. That wasn't even allowed. Like, the game, the controllers, all of it pulled. So, yeah. Yeah. So, I that's sad, though. I'm not happy about this. I wanted it to do well. The big thing I worried about was that when Marvel Rivals came out, that would eat its lunch and its dinner and pretty much, you know, any snacks it might have during the day as well. That's the type of thing I was worried about. But, you know, when it came out, I didn't think this game would have like 2 weeks. I believe that's how long it was. It was something like that. It's a week or two that this game had. Like, that is insane. That's insane. And I really hope that some execs get some of the brunt of this. I honestly, I think the most, to be honest with you, because these are good devs, and from all, you know, intents and purposes, they were kind of forced to get this game out, it seems, early, because like a number of different big game magazines and websites were like, when I say game magazine now, I basically mean a website, because sadly there really aren't a lot of physical game magazines after Game Informer and everything like that. So the game journalist sites will say that. A lot of them said, hey, this is really cool. I like this. It's really rough, though. You need more time. And that's what people said during, like, the closed beta. And it wasn't listened to. And, again, Sony did not do a great marketing plan. You probably needed at least 6 months of marketing for this game. At least. It had 2 or 3. Nintendo can do that because it's beloved characters that people know. It's Luigi, it's Princess Peach, it's Link, it's Zelda, it's Mario. That works. People are always like ready to jump and grab that for a character that they love. These are all unknown characters with, again, rather unappealing designs. So, it was, sadly, it was like put out there to fail. Okay, but it's not all gloom and doom this week. We have a roadmap. And as you know, I'm a huge fan of roadmaps. I cannot have enough roadmaps. Here we go. Funko Fusion has a roadmap, everybody. I bet you weren't expecting that. You may not have been expecting the game. Apparently, a lot of people, when I tell them about it, they haven't even heard anything. So, one issue I see right now is that a lot of companies are using Twitter as their main source of marketing. And that is a bad idea. More and more people are leaving Twitter. So, there should be like ads in front of movies. You know, there should be like commercials, all of that. That's what you need to do in order to sell games, especially in the September through like December time period. You want to get that mind share. You know, you want people to be excited and you want it to stand out from other games coming out at the same period of time. But here we go. We got free outfits, free characters over the course of a number of months. And in October, we get a number of games that will introduce co-op. So the full single-player game experience is going to be available September 13th when the game launches. But in October, they're introducing co-op. And Jurassic World is going to be the first area, section, level, whatever you want to call it, that's going to offer co-op. So that's really neat. Online co-op is something that I wish more games like this had. Like, I believe there's one Skylanders game that had online co-op and then all the rest didn't. So that was disappointing. It was something you got used to. You were playing with friends and they're like, well, that's gone now. So. But yeah, even they have their own roadmap. And as you can see, October, November, other missions, levels, or cameo levels are going to have co-op capability. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm also interested to see these characters that are going to be showing up. There's rumored to be Frankenstein, but apparently no one knows anything more about it than a rumor. Maybe there's going to be some Universal Horror Funko Pops in October. Maybe that's what that's about. I don't know. But, or maybe it's... See, it would be weird to me and a little disappointing if it was like the characters you got for pre-order. Or if it was like the DLC characters, like I believe there's like a Horde Slime Pit He-Man or something like that. You know, it would kind of take away the specialness or the coolness of it being like a limited thing, you know? So hopefully it's something new. And maybe it's characters for existing franchises, you know, that we just don't have yet. You can't just have every character from every franchise, right? There's like 20-some franchises. That just would not work. That just would not be feasible. So we got that. This week we have Astrobot, which looks completely adorable, features a ton of different video game mascots, mostly Sony, but apparently some that aren't. Has a really cool controller with little blue eyes on it, so it looks like Astrobot's inside your controller, which I think is mimicked in a part of the game. It takes place on 50 different planets. It looks really cool. I'm very much looking forward to that game, and that comes out on Friday. Now, one thing I'm going to say, Amazon's being weird again. If you pre-order the game now, you aren't getting it till Saturday, apparently. So for whatever reason, Amazon was able to get you games day and date pretty solidly. I'm not saying perfectly, from the actual day the game launches, the release day. But now it's a day later, or 2 days later. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know. So just something to keep in mind, you know. You're probably going to find Astrobot at your Targets, your Walmarts, your Best Buys. I hesitate to say GameStop because apparently the person in charge is a total dick now. Some like trust fund slash crypto dude, crypto bro. So, but yep, if you only have that option to get the game, I guess there too, huh? Let's see. I think that's everything except Diablo 4. So a lot was talked about Diablo 4 last week. It was absolutely insane. And, like, the game is being turned on its head. Instead of getting up to level 50 and going to Paragon levels, which are levels after your base levels, it's now level 60. So you get 10 more skill points. Okay? And that's just the beginning of it. It's just so insane what they're bringing to this game experience now. I'm very much looking forward to it. Let's see, I should have some notes here. I had some notes that I used on the show known as Super Hour, which is Hero Mentor and I. That was on Sunday. You can watch it Sunday on YouTube. It's available now, the previous episode, if you wanted to see it. But right now, let's see here. I had some, like, real blatant points, like, oh, this and this. Let's see. Well, I don't know where they went, so I apologize for that. I'm a little out of sorts. I usually don't do the show this early, so I'm going to say it's going to be a little bit rough around the edges, and I apologize for that. But, yes, what you need to do is check out Pure Diablo or just Diablo.com and take a look. There's a lot of changes. One thing I can say, however, is that the PTR went live for Season 6. And apparently a number of issues. A lot of changes that have to be made, but it is a PTR. It's something they do before the new season will launch to, you know, get a lot of the bugs out and things like that. But, like, right now, I believe they were talking about how many issues there are, and there's a whole list of them, and they're building that up, you know, to let people know what is going on with the PTR and what they're looking at changing. So, again, that's a public test server that you use to try out the season before it comes out. Right now, it's currently only on Steam via Battle.net, so something to keep in mind. Okay, everybody, we are done with video game news. And again, there wasn't that much, you know, it really kind of focused on people sadly losing their positions at a number of different companies. Okay, but now we are going to toy around. Hopefully that'll be a little bit more upbeat. First up, we have Deathstroke. Deathstroke. He's got that scalloped looking armor. So I'm not the biggest fan of scalloped armor. Like, even on, like, Aquaman, I didn't love it. But I do like the look of this Deathstroke. I do like he gets the alternate head. That's really cool. And I believe all the pre-orders I show you that are from McFarlane Toys go live tomorrow. I've got, like, 2 of them. So here we got Deathstroke, and it's from the Rebirth version of Deathstroke. It's a page puncher, so it comes with a comic book. So we got that. And we have the Damian Wayne. I believe the Frank Quitely version of Damian Wayne from the Batman and Robin comic book series. I think it looks really good. Again, this pre-order goes live tomorrow, so September 5th. So if you're interested, it's probably going to be like $24.99. That's usually what the page punchers are. McFarlane collectors are more like $29.99, but then you get like more usually intricate paint jobs or some extra accessory or something. But I very much like this take on Damian Wayne. I think this looks really good. That cape, an actual material cape, very nice. Now, I'm not going to try to get elite with you, but here is Elita 1. So, this is from Transformers 1, the animated movie coming out later this month, and this is Elita 1. I think this is really cool. So there's going to be like a Transformers Day, and Hasbro Pulse is going to be like celebrating that, and I guess some other sites are as well. This is going to be one of the pre-orders going live on September 17th, which I believe is the date of Transformers Day. So I think it looks great. I think this is an excellent take on the character Alita 1. And then we also do have the look of Alita 1 as a vehicle. So, I guess they call that the alternate. Like the regular version of the character is the robot, and then the alternate is the vehicle, or, you know, whatever they turn into. So, but yeah, I think Alita 1 looks great. I like the paint ops on it. The coloring choices I think are really cool, as well as the sculpt. So I think this is a really cool Transformer, and there's sure to be other ones available on pre-order September 17th. So keep that in mind. I think also, I don't have the exact date, but I thought it was like a day or two earlier, was the Pulse Con type of thing. Every year they have the Hasbro Pulse Con. So if you're part of Pulse, you're able to get some really cool exclusives and stuff like that. So pretty soon they'll be announcing that. I think they're going to have one of the members of Cobra Law, possibly, because they showed that earlier this year. It looked like a really cool, like, set, you know, as a really large figure, and they haven't said when it was coming out. But I would not be surprised if it turns out to be a PulseCon release. Okay. So those are all the toys we have, but I really do like that Damian Wayne. I think that's really cool. And if you're a Transformers fan, I think Alita 1 is really nice as well. So that would mean this week we are done toying around. Next up, we are going to look at the future of comic books. The future of comic books all the way to 1 week from today. Okay, everybody. So, first up we have... I'm going to go crazy with the order today. This wasn't even the order I planned on. TMNT 2. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as seen through the mind of Jason Aaron. Issue 1 was great. Issue 1 was really good, all about Raphael being in prison, and then a prison break that he, you know, he basically foils a prison break, but then he himself breaks out of prison because he has no choice. He's being hunted down, and it looks like it's by Karai's people. So, very interesting. Basically, the idea was, like, the criminals wanted to get caught so they could get in prison in order to take out Raphael. So, and then they end up killing the warden and framing Raphael. That's the main reason he has to do a prison break. Now, in issue 2, we move on to Michelangelo, who is living in Tokyo, and he's a big TV star. So, for me, it makes me think of, like, Lost in Translation. But in this cover, as you see behind Michelangelo as he's enjoying some popcorn, a number of ninjas are about to attack his apartment. So his existence, his, like, probably a little bit more peaceful, more relaxed, pampered existence is about to change drastically. And I'm very interested to see how Michelangelo handled all this time and everything like that. Jason Aaron is doing something very cool with this book. One of the most difficult things in comics as a fan right now is waiting for the next issue. So happily it's next week. It was honestly like a 2-month break before issue 1 and issue 2. And I was surprised by that. But I don't know if it was an art issue or what it was. But yeah, finally TMNT number 2 comes out next week. Next up we have Transformers number 12. The end of the story arc. It's supposed to be a very big deal. Craziness happening. So it should be pretty neat. Looking forward to it. Transformers is currently one of my favorite comic books. If you're a fan of Transformers, very rarely are the characters handled this well. And is it as interesting? Like, you're finding out that there are some Decepticons that, when they weren't under the, you know, metal thumb of Starscream, they don't want to hurt human beings. So now you're having, like, Autobots and Decepticons kind of choosing sides, ultimately, as to where they are, you know. And it's very interesting. And Shockwave has been great in this story arc. So, yeah, Transformers issue 12. Now, I don't know then if it goes on hiatus, if there's an issue 13 right away. I'm not sure. So, all I do know is that I believe is November is the G.I. Joe comic book, which will come basically spin off of the miniseries that have come out for Duke, Cobra Commander, Scarlet, and Destro. So that'll be really interesting to see that. Next up, we have Space Ghost issue 5. This book by Dave Papos has been awesome. I'm not even the biggest Space Ghost fan. I knew very little about him, very little about like the Ghost Planet and stuff like that. And his whole story about saving these kids and trying to look into a mystery which led to the death of their father has been very engrossing. Right now, Zorak is center stage, and he's nightmarish. He's like a mix between Joker and Carnage. It is really intense, and he basically has the kids like hostage, and he's waiting for Space Ghost to arrive, and it should lead into a huge battle. He has like a religious cult of the Locust. Is it Locust or Mantis? I think it's Mantis. But yeah, it is crazy. It's a really unique take on both Space Ghost and his enemies. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking out Space Ghost. And that's number 5 that's going to be coming out next week. Wolverine. Snicked. That wasn't a very dramatic way of me to do that, but it was, I guess I made it my own, kind of. Anyway, Wolverine number 1. This is going to be by Saladin Ahmed, and writer of Miss Marvel, and it should be very cool. This is the all-new, From the Ashes, Wolverine number 1. So brand new story arc, new creative team, and it comes out next week. So very good chance I'll actually review this, to be honest with you. I'm interested to see where Saladin takes Wolverine. Yeah, this one's kind of a mystery to me. I don't know much of what they're doing with it, so. Let's see here. One other comic book I can bring up that I actually don't have the picture of, because it's very mysterious. Moon Knight. Vengeance of the Moon Knight, number 9. All it says for the synopsis is classified. A single word, classified. So we're probably going to get Mark Spector back. I think this is the point where that happens. We don't really know exactly how. So that should be very interesting. And Jed McKay, one of my favorite comic book writers. So I'm looking forward to seeing that too. Yeah, there is a chance that would be the book that gets reviewed next week. So I would say right now expect either Wolverine number 1 or Vengeance of the Moon Knight number 9. And with that, everybody, that is the near future of comic books all the way to 1 week from today. Did a different chord to end it there. Okay, everybody. So now we are getting down to the end of the episode. But before we do that, of course, we have a comic book review. And this week it is Minor Arcana. It took me a moment because I was trying to decide exactly what I was going to review. And it just made sense to me. Jeff Lemire, I'm a big fan of his writing, and he actually does the art and writes this book. It has a very unique look to it. It almost looks rough, but then like when colors hit the images, it looks fantastic. It's really cool. This book is very interesting in that it could be the beginning and end of the series. Like, it has one of the like a dreamlike quality. Teresa has come back home to take care of her ailing mother, who apparently has issues with addiction. And her mother runs a psychic / tarot shop. And throughout this book, you get the feeling that Teresa is not in control of her own life, but in a very interesting way. Like, she'll go someplace and say, hey, I don't know how I got here, or I feel like I'm sleepwalking. And it's said multiple times to almost create a theme. So you're starting to question things that are going on and the people she's meeting in conversations. It feels like the entire book might be an unreliable narrator. Anyway, she comes home and basically tries to reconcile things with her mother, and her mother's like, hey, you should open up the psychic shop again, and you know, that's how we'll survive, that's how we'll make money. And Teresa's completely against it. And she talks about how, like, as a teenager, most young girls had that whole witchy phase or whatever, but she never did. And she felt her mother was a bit of an embarrassment. Late at night, an elderly woman comes to that shop and says that she needs to talk to Teresa's mother, but her mother is completely, like, out, like, dead to the world, asleep. So Teresa grudgingly finally admits when a woman agrees to pay her double to do a tarot reading. And once she does, basically you start questioning if she's in the tarot cards itself, or she's inside a card trapped, or what's happening. Because the tower card comes up, and a apartment building you saw in the very opening of the panels of the comic book shows up at the end in full detail as basically the embodiment of the tower. And then you get the kind of almost the voiceover. It's not really a voiceover because it's a comic book. The narration, I guess, of Teresa talking about how she feels that, you know, it's like a dream and it's not reality she's in. And yeah, so you come full circle with that beginning and that ending, and it makes you wonder what you can trust in this book. So I think Minor Arcana is very good. I liked it a lot. I'm a big fan of Jeff Lemire, though, so I do need to say that. But it's very good. It's very good. I'm very interested to see where it goes. Apparently, it's meant to be 4 hardcover graphic novels by the time it's all done. It's an ongoing series. And it looked like one cover was possibly going to be Teresa's mother. And in the cover, she looks very sinister, which I thought was interesting. Then there's also an older man that Teresa met who remembered her when she was like a kid, or she has a flashback, I think, when she's a kid talking to him. And he has a cover. So it seems like these characters that initially didn't seem super important in this issue will be very important. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where Minor Arcana goes, and it's great to see Jeff Lemire doing another ongoing. He did a number of mini-series and like even like I think like a hardcover book or something, or a paperback or something. Now he's back to actually doing full-length series, and I think that's very cool. So okay, everybody. I want to thank you all very much for watching, especially at this earlier time. If you made it live, I greatly appreciate it. If you watch at your leisure on demand, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. If you like the show, if I'm remotely entertaining or informative, feel free to sub or let anyone else know the sub. Again, I don't harp and preach on that. I don't like to bring it up like during the actual video itself, but at the end, I just sort of mention it. If you want to see more of me, again, heaven only knows why you would. I'm currently doing a lot of Star Wars Outlaws on my Twitch stream. That's twitch.tv/Hoarder Gamer. Also on Sundays, usually it's going to be like, I guess, late afternoon. On YouTube, you'll be able to check out a recorded episode of Super Hour. Again, that's Hero Mentor and I. So definitely check that out. Current episode or previous episodes available now. So yeah, check that out. But thank you very much, everybody. And I hope you have a great week. And I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.